and I do it constantly, and I think that is kind of what this YouTube channel is a memoir of reflections, and I'm really keen to maybe even start a podcast and share these things, because I have so many conversations with friends as well that are amazing conversations. And I'm like, I wish I could just put a loudspeaker on this and share this with people who need to hear it. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a while since I have been able to say that. I have been away for a while, but now I'm back, and today's video is actually about filling you in on where I've been and what I've been up to, and most importantly what I have learned in the meantime. So it has been a whirlwind of a year. 2019 was a crazy, unexpected, unpredictable roller coaster, and I cannot believe that it is already the end of 2019. I'm one of those people who currently wishes that I had, another 1, 2, 3 months to pack in what I want to achieve, but alas, it is what it is. We are where we are, and I experienced an interesting time away. I'm not gonna bore you and going into too much detail in the story. What I actually just want to share with you is, as usual, the learnings, things that you will actually be able to really relate to, and the takeaways that I learned that would maybe help you in realizing this quicker, or possibly preventing you from making these mistakes that I have made altogether. So I've made a couple of notes. I may look down from time to time, but I'm basically just going to give you a short story of how this kind of happened. I'm going to make it kind of vague because, as I said, I don't want to get into too much detail. So if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I have already started my own business. I quit my corporate job. I've engaged with some of you already on some of the topics, as some of you have actually asked about what's it like to be an entrepreneur, and you've had questions about all types of things, and I made a whole video on that, so I'm definitely going to share that with you the moment it's released, because as I said, I love to serve, I love to encourage, and I love to share enriching things and gems that I've found that help people. So it's not because I'm so far ahead in my journey and I know everything. I am just a student on the field reporting back what I learned. So okay, let's dive right into it. Basically, this video is about where I've been for these past few months that I have been MIA completely on my YouTube channel, and also the things that I learned from kind of straying away from my mission, and how I'm actually grateful for the learnings, even though it took me on a kind of dirt path. I'm really grateful for what I have learned and what I've gotten, and I'll explain more in just a moment. So basically, not too long after I actually resigned from my job, became an entrepreneur, created, my product, my brand, that I was so excited about and so passionate about. It was, I must say, quite eye-opening and enlightening. I had a decent amount of people that knew me and that were interested, and people kept asking me about products, but it was so interesting when I kind of released my products and you don't get the reception that you expect, especially when you have already been gaining that interest all along. And you just realize that just because you create an amazing product, if nobody knows about it, if nobody understands why, if nobody, resonates with what you're making and understands exactly why it can benefit them and why it can be of service to them and life enhancing to them, then you can forget it. And that's a video for another time. But basically, I realized that entrepreneurship is such a journey of self-development. And if I'm not okay, then nothing's gonna be okay. I'm currently like a sole proprietor. I get help when I need it, but the truth is that everything depends on me, and you have to be so strong. Entrepreneurship is an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute things go incredibly well, next minute it's falling apart. There are all types of things that can happen to you. You know, I had a supplier steal my stuff. You know, he ran away with my money, my supplies, my patterns. I've had, you know, people ghost on you, people no longer available, you know, like letting you down, betraying you, all these things, and it really is an emotional roller coaster. By the same token, when things go well, you are on the highest of highs, like it's just unbelievable. So I realized that there's a lot more depth into this that I really want to go into. I really want to understand more about myself, how to optimize my brain, my thinking, my personal development, so that I can be and show up as my best, as the best version of myself, so that I can serve the people that my business is meant to serve really, really well. And the reason I wanted to be an entrepreneur is because I really wanted to, in the end, pay it forward to other entrepreneurs. I think my belief is that the world needs more of them, and we cannot rely on our governments and our economies anymore to look after our families, to look after our children, to look after ourselves. We need to be go-getters. We need more people who are chasing their dreams, creating wealth for themselves, creating wealth for themselves and their families, and being empowered, owning something, being empowered and giving something out to the world that is of service and of benefit to human beings around them. And I realized that if I want to be part of that, I need to be it myself, and I need to get in the trenches and get the learnings. And I think a lot of us are still kind of in that place where we want to, but we are too afraid. And many of you know that, for instance, I went to an amazing MIT boot camp. It's called the MIT Global Innovation and Entrepreneurship Boot Camp, and I couldn't believe that I made it in. I had huge imposter syndrome. And for me, it was such a big deal. I had to raise $6,000 for it. I crowdfunded it all. I was overwhelmed by the fact that so many people believed in me at a time when I didn't really believe in myself. I didn't even think I deserved to go. And when I got there, I met amazing people who thought the same thing. They felt like they had imposter syndrome. They thought you were amazing. And, you know, I got so much insight from that, you know, our minds are really powerful. Perceptions are really powerful. And I wanted to get a little bit deeper into that, not just for myself, but for the end goal of working with entrepreneurs, encouraging entrepreneurs, helping them on the journey so that they don't make the same mistakes, because I really felt like there isn't enough information. There isn't enough, as much information and offering as there is out there. A lot of people feel like it's inaccessible or they don't know about it still. You know, we have the world at our fingertips when it comes to the internet and Wi-Fi. And yet there's still so many people that are out of the loop. And I wanted to do my bit basically in contributing to closing that gap for people. So that is a little bit of a side story in terms of like where I wanted to go and why I took the step of entrepreneurship. You know, I just knew that this is where I need to end up. It's been calling my name all along. And how can I be of better service by, you know, investing in my own self-development. So basically what happened in short was that I was really in search of this personal development material, and you know, lo and behold, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall open. I actually came across some very interesting people who were in the entrepreneurial space, who were also involved in projects and other things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I've been looking to create, because one of the big things about entrepreneurship is having a community. You cannot survive on your own, in your room, in your house, in your office, alone, day in, day out, and not have a supportive community, even mastermind group, or whatever it is that can help you really navigate this basically unpredictable crazy roller coaster ride that it is, even if it's just for emotional support or whether you are actually getting like valuable information on a regular basis that you need to help your business. There is no way you can do it on your own, and there are people who have gone through the same thing or who are going through the same thing. So it's basically everyone has a little piece of the puzzle that if you work together, you can actually complete that puzzle much quicker than if you try to do it on your own. And I basically got so engrossed and excited about this. There were some really meaningful, available engagements, even projects, seminars, workshops that I really got involved in and basically took on way too much. The other thing about entrepreneurship is things take much longer than you expect. Things are much more expensive than you expect. So in the meantime, you kind of need to find ways to earn money that are still speaking to your skill set, still speaking to your passions, that will be able to help you finance, because no matter how much money you think you have or you saved for your business, you will always need more because there are unexpected costs. But that is a video for another time. What I'm saying is basically I took on too much for myself, got fully immersed, and was not able to then focus on my business as much as I wanted to. Even though things were moving slower, you still need to dedicate enough time to even get that little bit of result that you would like. So, they say if you want full-time results, you need the time and dedication and focus. And so unfortunately, I took on too much, got too engrossed, and there was also a really hectic time, a conference that built up that basically ate all of my time because it was basically crunch time. And so I must say I got stuck in the trap of taking on too much for myself, but I learned so much in the process. And for me, I actually got a glimpse of what the future might be like, what I'm capable of. Of course, I learned so much about myself and about other people and about running an organization that I think, had I not gone through that experience, which for me, the way I got into that experience in the first place was just so, definitely preordained, and I was meant to be there. And I was meant to learn the lessons that I learned. I think what was hard in the end was that I realized how I put too much faith, too much expectance, too much weight and reliance on what other people are doing, that is credible or seems like this is going to help you in the future, when I had to relearn a lesson that I've learned before. And that is basically that you already have everything that you want inside. You already have what you need. And I was speaking to someone over the weekend about this at a wedding, is that what the MIT bootcamp taught me, what this experience taught me is, of course, there are things that are accelerated in a process that you take part in. There are learnings that kind of jump at you, come forward because you have been seeking this. But, sometimes we spend a little bit longer than we're meant to. Sometimes we realize a little bit too late because we're too gullible, we're placing too much emphasis on other people and how far they've come, or how much you need to learn still, or the gaps that you have, when you realize that you are capable of so much. And we forget that all the time. I think it is like a deadly do not of all time, of forgetting how wildly capable we are, and how we should stop relying on other people and stop relying on gaining this credibility thing that we want so much for the sake of it, instead of investing that same amount of time and energy and focus and effort on ourselves and bettering ourselves, so that we can actually take what we need. Because once your cup is full, you need to move on. When your cup is full or it's overflowing, you need to spill it and pour it into other things. But I think so many of us stop there, where you're being filled and you're now overflowing but you're not pouring into something else. You're not actioning into something else. It's like taking a million courses and not executing on anything. And I think that is something that is really, really, really important for all of us. The second point I want to mention is to have some serious clarity on your mission, what you wanted to achieve. It's okay if it changes, but if you knew what it was, or you had an idea of what it was, and that inner voice, which we always have, is like saying, this is not quite exactly what you would have wanted, what you would have needed, so that you can be filled to best serve what you need next. And I think a lot of us do that because we want it to work, we have all the good intentions, the other people have really good intentions, but it's maybe not the best thing for you still. And the best thing you can do is to have clarity on your mission and actually write it down, map it out, and say, where does this thing that I'm about to take on really fit into the bigger picture of where I'm going, and where is the stopping point, where is the place where the result that I wanted, the outcome that I wanted, has actually been reached, and we've reached the task completion, like we're good now. I think a lot of us sometimes ignore that piece. So basically what I'm trying to say is that, it's the end of 2019. I think a lot of us are reflecting on what has happened in the year and what we have been involved in, how they affected us, how they, filled us up or emptied us out. And it's really important to do an assessment like this, not just because reflection is important, self-awareness is incredibly important. I've said it so many times, and I've used it as a testimony so many times for the success that I've achieved in my life. I know is because of reflection and self-awareness, and I do it constantly. And I think that is kind of what this YouTube channel is a memoir of reflections. And I'm really keen to maybe even start a podcast and share these things, because I have so many conversations with friends as well that are amazing conversations. And I'm like, I wish I could just put a loudspeaker on this and share this with people who need to hear it. And I think that's what life is about, for us to help one another to experience things. Imagine, if we all put our knowledge together and experiences together, how much stronger and better we would be, and how fewer mistakes we could make because we are learning from other people's mistakes. So anyway, what I've basically learned though is to not be too hard on myself. That is my third point, to not be too hard on myself and not beat myself up, because I am right-brained. It is part of my nature. It is how I was made, and I tend to see the big picture, and big picture people who see the vision, because that's what I am. I'm a visionary. People who see the big picture tend to think far ahead and maybe don't do the calculations. That is, the devil is in the detail, as they say, and don't do the little nitty-gritty things and steps and sequencing and mapping that is needed in order to know whether this is a good thing or not. So right brain people like me, who will then tend to take on too much, and maybe even beat themselves up afterwards because they just saw everything at the same time and they thought they could do it all. And I also thought I was completely so strong, so capable, but something had to give. And at the same time, even though it was quite a busy time and I maybe shouldn't have gotten as involved as I did, I should have been more selfish. I should have focused more on my own business, which is what the mission was, and I just knew that was too important to leave behind, because that is the reason why I decided to leave. And I would never be happy, I knew, if I continued working for other people. And so I think it's really easy to beat yourself up about it, but at the same time, I was really enjoying it. I genuinely was. I was immersed completely. I learned so much, and for me, things were happening so quickly that I felt it would have taken away from it to, like, for instance, get onto YouTube and film videos about it when tomorrow there's a new learning, or the next week there is a new learning. I would have rather than experienced it, been fully present, and packaged it later for you guys to share with the learnings which I still am going to do, don't worry. So for me, it was quite important to be present, and something had to give, and one of the things was the YouTube channel. I also kind of like did not get onto Instagram too often. My postings were pretty vague, I was told, and I didn't want to share too much because I wanted to honor the space that I was in and be fully present there, and for me that was fine. And so I'm only explaining now instead of explaining back then. And that's the thing. This brings me to my next point. The fourth point is life isn't linear. Life is actually like a zigzag and a turn and a curve here, and we shouldn't expect it to be. I think we are kind of a generation that is answer obsessed. We want the answer, we want the silver bullet. And yes, although there's so much information out there, I read this beautiful saying that said, in a world filled with information, the truth will be hard to find. And, there is so much available out there that we kind of are like, somebody must have found the answer, give it to me. And when it comes to something like entrepreneurship, there is no such thing. The life isn't linear. It's a process, it's a journey. It sounds cliche, but it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, is so true, and it's about the process. The point about the process, though, is to learn from it, make sure you don't keep making the same mistakes, and hopefully, you can share your learnings with other people so that they can also benefit from what you have grown from. So basically, you really want to fail forward. You don't want to keep repeating the same mistake over and over again, because that is insanity. And what I learned from this basically is to create a kind of tool for myself of, how do I not get into the situation again? How do I make sure and prevent and protect my time and energy, which is finite, and not get distracted or too engrossed or take on too much again that is straying me away from my mission? And so part of my tool is to really take a step back and evaluate when I'm presented with an opportunity, because I realized in my life that I actually get so many opportunities, and a lack of opportunities is never my problem. Some people think that it is, but I would challenge you to have a look at the things that come your way, especially when you are actively seeking and actively working, the things that come into your life that you can say yes or no to, and how many things are we actually saying no to that we don't really realize or pay attention to. So anyway, I would say when I get an opportunity next, what I would do is stop, take a moment, make sure firstly that what you are getting involved in is clear, possibly is completely crystal clear, and preferably in black and white. So what you are involved in, what is your role to play, and what is not your role to play. I think so oftentimes, and this is part of my point that I'm getting to later, so be absolutely clear about what your involvement entails, what you're doing and what you're not doing, what you're contributing to and not contributing to, because scope creep is the easiest thing ever. As we know, the scope of what you are involved in can grow and grow and grow, and I mean, I'm generally a curious, interested person. That's how I got here, and so for me, I love exploring, but there's a time where exploring maybe doesn't fit in or doesn't make sense, and actually needs to be put into a different place. The other important thing is to look at the red flags and the precautionary measures. In a way, you kind of need to think of your exit strategy, you kind of need to think of your boundaries, your no-goes, your place where this is actually contributing to my mission and where I need to go, so that my cup can be filled and I can best serve other people. And I think, again, because of my curious nature, it's easy for that to get that scope creep. So my next point is really to know thyself. I know that I'm right-brained. I know it's easy for me to take on a lot of stuff. I'm really creative, really compassionate, caring, all these things. And so when I get into a space, that is the person that I bring. And a lot of people see that and recognize that and see that as a thing that they can take advantage of, a thing that, oh, Corey cares enough, or Corey cares too much, and we can give her this thing and she will run with it and do it well because she also cares enough about the quality of things that she's involved in, and that's part of my personal brand. So of course I would care about how things look and how things turn out because my name is attached to it, and because I just generally love quality and I'm an optimizer, so I'm always going to look for the best way to do something, even if it is more pressure, more effort on me. So it's really important to know yourself. And I think, again, goes back to the self-reflection, self-awareness thing that we all need to really constantly be doing throughout the year in order to check in with ourselves and find out how we're doing, to check in with ourselves and check in with our goals. So my next point is basically kind of pay attention to the clues. Sometimes what we are involved in, and I've seen this so many times in my life, as like sometimes you're involved in things where people are asking, what the freak are you doing? Aren't you wasting your time? Shouldn't you be doing, better things with your time? And I have found that those moments are times when, and I mentioned this in a panel discussion the other day, when I was invited to my alma mater to share, like on my journey as an entrepreneur, as an alumni, is that, those things that, we often are busy with that are, kind of part of tickling our fancy and our curiosity, because it's been calling us, and I really believe that there are things that are calling us all the time, that kind of are talking to us because there's an inner part of us that we want to still explore, want to understand more, whether it's creativity, whether it's a specific venture, or a business idea. And I think we get that all the time, and we need to listen to our inner voices that are telling us those things, and that are also telling us, when we're on the wrong path or when we've gone too far. I think basically the experiences that we have are sort of glimpses or contributors to things that will help us in the future, that kind of complete the puzzle or are an important piece of the puzzle that we kind of need to pay attention to and keep and store it somewhere and be like, okay, when is that time when this piece fits here and the picture is made clearer? And I think this is one of those times for me where I was like, oh my gosh, I really, one of the things, as I said at the beginning of this video, is that I really wanted to be able to work with entrepreneurs, and I got that opportunity. I got to be part of a community that I can always still plug into, but it's not going to help me right now. What I need to do, I'm the only one who can do it. I'm the only one who can help myself with it, and there are very specific people and very specific help that I would need in order to complete that. And so the truth is, I still need to step away and do the work. And I think, though, that I still look at the glass half full because I look at the glass half full and I'm able to be really grateful, for me, then that's how I can bounce back and not beat myself up so much. I think gratitude is an amazing way, and looking at the glass half full is an amazing way to really, really bounce back and use it as a learning. Firstly, see it as a learning, and then use it as a learning to propel you forward and fail better and fail forward and fail faster the next time. Basically, that is a short thing in review. If you're anything like me and you're a right brain and you like to take on way more, bite off way more than you can chew, let me know. I'd love to hear about your story and connect with you on that one. But basically, I hope that there were some gems that were able to help you, and experiences that you had this year that you maybe need to have a look at, and maybe also hopefully flip your perspective on it, and help you see the bright side and help encourage you to pay attention and not make the same mistakes. I hope that you can use the tool. Let me know. I hope that you can relate to some of these things and also reflect on it, please let me know in the comments section below. I'd really love to hear from you. I love connecting and hearing from all of you who watch these videos. Sometimes it feels like you are just talking into the stratosphere. But I really love to hear from you and connect with you as well. So if you liked this video and there was something that you found really helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep seeing more, please make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comment section below what other stuff you would like to hear. If you have any questions, if you have other content ideas, if you want an expansion on certain things, I would love to chat to you too. Okay, thanks guys, that's it for today. See you soon. Bye.